Hey, how's it going everyone? Welcome back to Fixed by Frank. Now in today's video, we are going to be refurbishing this iPhone 6 64GB back into brand new condition. Now, as you guys can see, this phone is completely stuffed up. This phone has a really badly cracked screen. It has a ton of damage. And this phone is something that we would classify as a BER phone, so beyond economical repair. Now, as you guys can see, it's, like in really bad shape. The screen doesn't turn on. It's like already lifting up the screen. It's completely a mess. And there's marks all around the phone. However, even though there's all this damage on this phone, we've still got enough information to confirm that this phone is unlocked. So that means that the motherboard inside can be still used. And in today's video, we're gonna be trying to salvage this phone, turn it into something that people can use, and basically we're going to try and save this device from ending up in like some landfill where it's not going to be used, because this phone can still be used. So what we're going to be using is a locked B-grade phone with all the perfectly working parts, and basically we're going to use all the parts from this phone to Frankenstein this phone and make it into something that someone can use and that works really well. So our unlocked phone has a battery health of 22%, and this locked phone has a battery health of 98%, I think. So we're gonna have a brand new iPhone 6 in perfect condition, ready for someone else to use. So make sure you stay around to the end of the video to watch the whole entire process of turning this into something new. And without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, so we can start off this repair by opening up the phone, which was very easy because there was no pentalobe screws holding the phone down, and having a look inside. Now, as you guys can see, the loudspeaker has two big dents on it. There's a bunch of dust throughout the phone, a couple of loose screws, and I'm guessing that the screws caused the dents in the loudspeaker, but this is going to need a big cleanup. So before we touch any components of the phone, we're going to first disconnect the battery to make sure that the battery cannot fry any parts of the phone or the motherboard. And then we can start to remove the screen and a bunch of other little parts that hold down the motherboard, because the way this repair is going to work is we're going to take out the motherboard of each of the phones and then swap them over into their respective housings. So as you can see, there's a bunch of little things that hold down the motherboard, such as the camera here and the brackets, which you can see me removing here. So this is the cellular antenna of the phone, and there's also a bunch of little flex cables that are attached to the motherboard that we have to remove. Before trying to pry out the motherboard, it's very important to remove the SIM card tray, because the SIM card tray actually holds down the motherboard into the housing of the phone. But then we can move on to the locked phone and remove the motherboard of the locked phone. And here is what all the parts looked like across my desk. It was very important to keep all the parts as organized as possible to avoid confusion. So at this stage of the repair, we've done most of the removing of parts that we need to, and we're on to the stage of the repair where we're actually going to install parts back into the phones. So what we're going to do here is we're going to install the motherboards back into their new respective housings, and the way we're going to do this is do the exact opposite of what we just did with removing the parts, and we're basically just going to put them all back into the places where they need to go. So you can see here, I'm putting all the little screws and everything back into where it needs to go. So I'm just making sure that I get everything back into the exact place where it was originally, and this way it'll make sure that the phone is back into actually brand new condition and works flawlessly for the end customer, because it's very important that everything is in the right place so that the phone works perfectly. Otherwise it cannot be used by the end consumer, and it also makes it very confusing to try and go back and fix. So it's very important here to stay very focused and make sure everything is in the right place where it was originally. Now that we've finished installing the motherboards back into their respective housings, I'm going to go ahead and use some compressed air to clean out the unlocked iPhone motherboard, because there was a ton of dust across the whole entire device, as you saw at the start of the video. So it's very important to make sure this dust isn't present for the end consumer, because otherwise it can interfere with the motherboard functions of the phone. And now we're going to begin the installation of the screens. So the way we're going to do this is very similar to the way we did the motherboards, and we're just going to swap the screens onto their respective phones. But the important thing here is to swap the home buttons, because the home buttons have a Touch ID function that only works with the original motherboard of the phone. So if we get this wrong, the phone will still have a working home button, but it will not have that Touch ID function, which is very important for the end user. And then we can quickly give the screen a clean with some isopropyl alcohol to remove any marks or dust that was on the screen originally. And then we're going to install the screens back onto the phones by plugging in the cable connectors and giving them a quick test to make sure that they're working properly, and then locking everything into place with their brackets. So you can see me here, I'm just installing the brackets and making sure everything looks smick and smack before I close up the phone and put those final 2 pentalobe screws into place and give it a quick test on the touch screen. And here it is, the iPhone 6 64GB back into brand new condition. Now, just upon looking at this phone with my own 2 eyes, I can tell you that this phone is in phenomenal condition, especially when looking at what we started with. This phone came in, I mean, it had its screen popped off, the battery health was literally like, I think, yeah, it's 22%. And we have taken this broken phone that was going to be thrown out, and we've turned it into something that is, I mean, in my opinion, an awesome product. Now, someone else can use this phone. It's in phenomenal condition. On our website, if you want to check it out, it's frankmobile.com.au for premium refurb phones, just like this one. And on our website, this would be classified as great condition with very minor superficial wear and tear that honestly I can't even pick up with my own 2 eyes. I'm super happy to say that this phone will be used by another consumer in the market rather than being thrown out into landfill and basically being wasted. So anyways, thank you so much for watching this video, guys. We really do appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in to Fix by Frank. And like I said, if you guys are chasing any secondhand phones, go and check out frankmobile.com for premium grade refurb phones. Like, there's a vast range of different products for you guys to choose from.